After water, tea is the most consumed beverage in the world. The different types are determined by the degree to which the producer lets the harvested leaves oxidize before drying them. Green tea, for example, is barely fermented, whereas black tea is greatly fermented. Oolong falls somewhere in between. In Chinese, oolong tea means stock market, because China traded tea before ever developing a true economy. Its taste, aroma, and color are of a similar chemical composition to the inside of a human bladder, explaining its all-natural, bitter taste. This amber oolong, produced in Canada, has a polite, inoffensive flavor. Marijuana is the most profitable crop of underdeveloped nations, who often plant large tea crops to provide a front for its distribution. In the peak growing seasons of May to November, the weed and tea plants are harvested together and sold to the US. Profits also tend to quadruple on April 20th. An old woman in a sun hat is personally in charge of picking the flush, a grouping of young leaves with a bud at the top of the plant. Normally, the plant produces a new flush every week. This dumb asshole of a plant took almost 3 weeks. With all the care of a pissed-off orangutan, a tea master bungles the tea harvest onto the floor. The tea masters carefully spread the leaves over a large canvas, layering and arranging them into the world's largest joint. Now you can see how the marijuana and tea crops work hand in hand. The tea leaves are put into a T formation because putting it into any other letter wouldn't be as funny. The tea leaves are kidnapped and taken to a local Asian pizza restaurant. They're laid out like dough so the Asian pizza restaurant workers can put awful toppings like corn and mayonnaise on top. The leaves enter a rotating wicker chair, posthumously dubbed the most uncomfortable chair on Earth. The world record time for sitting in this chair is just over 9 hours. Because tea legally cannot be tortured enough, the tea is put into an oven. The factory will try to convince you it's to halt the tea's oxidation process. But it's actually because they derive sick pleasure from watching the plant suffer. At this point, a machine known as a personified enthusiastic touching extraction robot, or PETER for short, fondles the tea for freshness. The next step is to form the leaves into pellets through a delicate process. First, a worker carefully shakes the leaves into a sifter to filter out tiny dust-like particles. Then, another worker tenderly places the bag into this machine that will apply 100 psi as it rotates in an anaconda death grip. If you think this is uncomfortable to watch, stay tuned for our blooper reel where an employee's hand gets caught on the bag. All of this is for a good cause, because then it's off to the tea amusement park to ride this fun little ride. For about 5 minutes. Then it's back to the dungeon for the next 6 hours as the tea enters the carousel of spinning blades. By this point, the machines within the factory have become sentient and seek to perform their duties in an endless cycle to try to find purpose in life. Sometimes even doing so in other factories. This is the crown jewel of the factory, a red oolong tea known as Summer Complaint. Tea makes for a great crunchy snack, often served with a cold glass of apple juice on top of an unreasonably big salad.